Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, as always. And today, since you stopped by, which I'm glad you did, I thought we'd do a cheesecake. I know we've done a lot of cheesecakes, but cheesecakes happen to be one of my favorite things to do. And this cheesecake is an apple pie cheesecake, and it took me forever to figure out how I wanted to make this cheesecake based on looking at several recipes. I just know I had it stuck in my head, and it sounds amazing. And like I said, I looked at several different recipes and kind of came up with my own. Well, I did come up with my own version of a apple pie cheesecake based on a handful of recipes that I looked at. And this one, I think it's going to work. I don't know because I have never made one before, especially this one, and there wasn't one like it out there recipe wise. And we're going to do a graham cracker crust, a vanilla bean layer of vanilla bean cheesecake, like a streusel crumb topping, and then another layer of vanilla bean cheesecake followed by apple pie filling, and then an apple pie crust on top, which is kind of like body slamming 3 or 4 different recipes together, but I think it'll suit what we're trying to go after. So it's going to be a process, but I think it's one that will be well worth it at the end. If you're new to my channel, this is your first video, welcome. You picked probably going to be not a long one, but a long one to start with. But if you enjoyed it, check out some of my other ones. There are some that aren't quite nearly as long as my cheesecake videos. If you're returning, thank you. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. We have a bunch of new subscribers, which is awesome that the community is growing that big. And thank you for subscribing. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. You know, thank you for hitting me on your feed if this is your first video. That being said, though, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That's what gets our videos out there, and they are our videos. You know, it puts us in the algorithm. You know, allows us to be able to grow our community even bigger and even better, which I think is just great. So that being said, I will give you all your measurements in tablespoons, teaspoons, cups. I will also do grams. That way more people can play along as we go. So let's go ahead and get down to the counter, and we're going to start with the crust, and then move on with the crumb topping, and then the cheesecake filling, and then we'll take it from there. So anyhow, let's get down to this counter so we can get busy working. Alright, hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, so we're going to start out by making the crust, the graham cracker crust on the bottom, and we will be using a 9-inch springform pan. 9-inch springform pan. It releases right there, allows you to get your cheesecake out. And we're going to make a graham cracker crust. Now, graham cracker crusts are really easy. This one here I've been using for quite a while, and it involves 2 cups of basically ground up graham crackers. And I just use my food processor to make this dream come true. You can use a mallet in a bag, a rolling pin in a bag, however you want to smash them. But it's 2 cups, but 200 grams, or about 13 and a half to 14, depending on your graham cracker, of graham crackers, about 13-14 of the full cracker. And like I said, all I did was mash that up. To this, I am going to add a quarter cup, 50 grams of just plain old granulated sugar. You know, same stuff you put in your cereal if you're a kid or an adult, or your coffee, or whatever you like. And then I'm going to add 7 tablespoons or 100 grams of melted unsalted butter. Now, you can use salted butter if that's your preference. I just prefer not to. And then you're going to mix this up. If you're using a food processor, you could do this in the food processor. I have just never had luck with getting everything completely incorporated. So all we got to do is get everything wet. You know, get our graham crackers nice and wet and our sugar combined in there. Alright, we got it all nice and wet, and you'll know you're good when it holds like that. So, and then see how it crumbles apart real easy. So now all we got to do is grab our springform pan here, Don't know what that was, but we got it out. Looked like like the top to a tomato or something. But we're gonna put our graham cracker crust in here, just like this. And then we're gonna put it in flat. Now you can, I do not use a cup or anything like that, mostly because I don't have one that's got a flat bottom to it, to press it down in. And one thing I forgot to tell you is go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now you don't have to do this step. You can just put this in the fridge or the freezer while you make the crumble topping and the filling. But I like to pre-bake my cheesecake crust. I don't do them cold. But all you're looking to do is, if you just put it in the fridge, is to make that butter basically become solid butter again, which will hold your crust together. But I'm going to put mine in the oven. If you do that, I do it for 350 degrees for 10 minutes. So when I come back, we will start making the, believe it or not, the crumb topping that's going to go in the center first. All right, see you here in a second. Okay, I got our crust out of the oven. I'll show it to you real quick. I got it sitting here on a rack. I'll be back you up a little bit there. Rack right there. But right here is our crust. And you want to bake it, I said 10 minutes because that's what my oven is. It could take 12 minutes, but you're looking for a golden crust. Something that's a little darker than the graham cracker you started with. And then it's done. So I'm going to say 10 to 12 minutes. I just know my oven, and I know it's 10 minutes for me. So now we can go ahead and start the process of making the crumble topping. We want to do this first, so that way we don't let our cheesecake batter just sit here and do nothing. So what we have to make this crumble with is we've got 47 grams of flour, which is about 1/3 of a cup. I'm sorry, 60, yeah, about 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose regular flour, 47 grams. And we're just going to throw this in a bowl. And then I've got some light brown sugar, and I've got a 1/4 cup, and it'll be packed at 30 grams. Put that in there. I have got a 1/2 cup, 50 grams of rolled oats, which are just, so there are 3 different kinds of oats. You have quick oats, which you can use. That'd be like your Quaker oatmeal, regular instant oats. You've got your rolled oats, which are these ones here. They're a little thicker, but they're still doable. Then you have what's called steel oats. Those you want to kind of steer away from because those you have to let soak. They're so thick. But I've got a 1/2 cup, 50 grams of those. I've got, in this little container here, I've got a 1/4 cup of salt. I don't know if you can see that or not. And I've got a 1/2 teaspoon, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. The 1/4 teaspoon of salt weighs 1 gram. The 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, my scale doesn't really measure it, but if you have a scale that does measure it, you're looking at a 1/2 gram of cinnamon. And then I have got, sure, you would think as many times as I've made this over the years, a 1/2 cup, 52 grams of crushed up walnut. And these are toasted walnut. It means I put my walnuts in the oven for, 3 or 4 minutes most, especially the small amount. I do a whole container at once, or until you can smell them, till they're fragrant, and that brings out the oils in them, which brings out the flavor. We're gonna put that in there, and then I've got a 1/4 cup of a 1/4 cup, which is 57 grams of butter, and I've got this butter just softened. It's only been sitting out for about 20 minutes or so at room temperature, and I've got it cubed up because what we're going to do is we're going to basically take our hands, or if you have a is it a biscuit cutter, I think is what it's called. We want to mix this up, but we want to get the butter to the point where it's about pea size, as we do it. So you're going to take the butter along with everything else and just kind of roll it through your fingers, right, like that. And we're going to do that till it's all blended together. And this would be like how you make a Dutch, if you're making a Dutch apple pie. This is what I use on mine. I just cut the recipe in half so I could use it as just a thin layer on this cheesecake. Okay, so we got our crumble made. There is our crumble right there. And, you know, it's chunky, it looks good. You know, I'm loving it, I'm digging it, and it's awesome. So we're just gonna go ahead and set that to the side. Now, I know I didn't mention it a second ago, but I did not turn my oven off when we took the crust out of the oven, because we're gonna bake this at 350 degrees. So to make our filling, this filling is going to have like a vanilla ice cream flavor, so you're getting an all-in-one package of apple pie and that little bit of hint of that Dutch apple crust, crumble crust, and you're getting the regular crust. But in order to make that, make the filling, we need to start out with 3 blocks, 24 ounces. It's 3 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese. And we're just gonna, and it's room temperature. The longer you can leave that at room temperature, the better. But so you want at least a half hour, 45 minutes, if not a little longer. I personally leave my cream cheese out for a minute. I pulled this out last night about 1 in the morning. So it's been out about 9 hours. If you don't feel comfortable with that, I get it. But at least an hour you want to leave it out for. If you're going to leave it out any longer than like 15 minutes, and this goes for almost any dairy product, put some saran wrap on it. I had saran wrap over top of that. That way it doesn't get a dry crust. Even your eggs can do that. So we're going to go ahead, let this cream for about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so we let that go about 3 minutes. The softer your cream cheese is, the less time you got to do that. But this is, right now is when you kind of set the tone for the creaminess and the smoothness of your cheesecake, because this is where you get a good majority of the lumps out, is just by creaming this. The longer you let it cream, so to speak, you know, you sit here and whip it, the smoother it'll be. Not that we're not going to continue to mix, but you want to, you know, kind of set the pace now. So I've got that nice and smooth, no lumps, no bumps that I'm aware of yet, and I'm going to give this a good scrape down right quick, give it a good mix, that way I can see, make sure I did get all the, you know, big chunks. There's nothing chunky in there, nothing worse than chunky. I mean, unless it's peanut butter, then it's really good, or a peanut butter cluster or something like that. To this, I am going to add some sugar. We're going to put in 1 cup, 200 grams of just a regular old all-purpose sugar, like such. And I'm going to add some salt. We're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. I use kosher salt. That way it can bring out the flavor without being, you know, it's not dominant. And we're going to go ahead and get this mixed together. And we're going to do this until it's completely combined. So it might be a couple minutes. Because remember, when making cheesecakes, you don't want to go too fast with your mixer. We're trying not to incorporate any air. Alright, we got our sugar well combined. Once again, we're going to scrape. Just really quick, doesn't have to be anything fancy. Now we're checking for, you know, do we have any big lumps or bumps, or even, you know, medium ones. If you have like itty bitty little ones, it's okay, those will bake through. But cream cheese is not baking friendly, so to speak. It doesn't melt easily. So you want to make sure you're in good shape there. Alright, got that in there. So, next 2 things we're going to add, I've got 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste. Alright, so you can use, I'm using this instead of a vanilla bean, which I got the idea for originally for the vanilla bean from one of the recipes, that to make the cream cheese taste like, or the cheesecake filling taste like vanilla. But I don't know if you've ever bought a bean before, a vanilla bean, but they are slightly expensive. Where I can buy paste, which will do the same thing, because it's the same thing as extract, only it's really concentrated, and it has the pulp seeds in it from the vanilla bean, which will give it that look. So instead of using one bean, scraping it out, and using the pulp of the bean, I just, for half the cost, bought a container of bean paste and do the same thing. So we got 1.5 teaspoons, 6 grams of that in there, and then I've got 3 large eggs, room temperature, and we're going to put these in one at a time, and we're going to wait until we can't see the yolk anymore and it's combined before we add the next one. Alright, we got those, all 3 of those combined, incorporated, so on and so forth. Give it one more good mix, or scrape of the bowl. Yeah, this time we want to make sure we don't have any stripes in here, that the egg actually kind of touched all the batter, so to speak. Get that in there. Because, yeah, like I've said before, all mixers, even a hand mixer, which you can do this with a hand mixer, will have a dead spot where, you know, your blade will not just get that part of the bowl. And usually with stand mixers, it's the very center. Now, if you're using a KitchenAid like this one, they do make a blade, which I will own eventually, that has a rubber seal on the side of it that actually scrapes the bowl for you. Then that'll save you the trouble of scraping the bowl. So, last thing we have to add to this, now that we got our eggs, our vanilla, our cream cheese, and our sugar in there, is going to be some sour cream. And I have got, yes, it's 8 ounces, and I don't remember how many grams. I'll leave it right down here in the description, of sour cream. And it's full fat sour cream. Remember, there is nothing really healthy about a good cheesecake. We're going to put that in there. And then I am going to, you want to run it till it's incorporated, but I'm going to run it just a little longer just to make sure that I truly have everything combined, no lumps. I'm not going to go fast with it, and I'm going to let this run for probably a minute or two. So when I come back, we can move on to building our cheesecake. Okay. So, I gotta go ahead and got that out, gave it its final scrape, and here is our finished product. Can't beat it, can't shake it with a stick. So, next thing we gotta do is just build our cheesecake. But before we do that, like I said, we've got our oven still on, and we're gonna try something a little different, because I mean, if we're gonna create a cheesecake, why not? Let's see how we bake this differently. And I've got my water bath pan, as always, and I've got it filled with water. But I'm going to go ahead and stick it in here now, because why not? And I'm going to put it underneath the middle rack. So it's sitting on the bottom rack, and what that's going to do is just going to create moisture in there, which should keep our cheesecake from cracking, and you know, it makes for a good cheesecake, I think. Now if it does crack, it's okay, it's going to put filling on it. But now we're going to take half our batter and we're going to pour it in on top of our crust, just like such. And we'll smooth it out. Get that smoothed out. Then we'll take our crumble topping that we made, and we're just going to put it on top of that. Give it a nice even layer. Got our layer in there, just like such. And then we'll put our last layer, we'll put our last half of the cheesecake filling on there. Get that all covered up. All right, got our second layer on there and evened out, looking amazing. So I'll tap this a couple times on the counter, just make sure we got the air bubbles to the top. And now, here's what I was thinking. We're gonna grab a baking sheet and we're gonna put this on a baking sheet. Why, you say, are we gonna put this on a baking sheet? Well, because we just stuck a lot of butter in between, right? So there's a good possibility that could drip out and leak on us. But after we put it on our baking sheet, since we don't have to worry about keeping it in the water bath, we'll put that in the oven and set the timer. And this is definitely one we're gonna have to watch, so to speak. So I know, and I'm sure you do too, because we've baked a lot of cheesecakes together, that cheesecakes normally take right around an hour, 55 minutes to an hour to bake, right? So I went ahead and set my timer for an hour. And I'm gonna keep an eye on it. 350 in my mind is kind of a high temperature, but that seemed to be the range for most of these apple pie cheesecakes, so that's what I'm gonna run with. And I'll keep an eye on it. What am I gonna look for? Well, at 50 minutes, I'm gonna open up that door and I'm gonna jiggle the cake, right? The cheesecake, and I'll use the pan to do it with, and see, give it the jiggle test. Which, if you've baked cheesecakes before, you know it should be solid on the outsides, right? And then just a little wiggly in the middle, because it'll continue to bake even if we pull it out of the oven. So, at 50 minutes, I'm going to check it, but I got my timer set for 60, because in my mind, that's what I'm running with. It may take as much as 70 minutes. We've made cheesecakes. That German chocolate cheesecake took an hour and a half, you know, and then more time. So, I'll start at 60 minutes. When I come back, we'll have it out of the oven, and we'll talk about if it took more time or not, and what to do next. All right, see you here in a second. Okay, so we let her go. Actually, let her go about an hour and 4 minutes, hour and 5 minutes, and then I turned the oven off and I let it just sit in there for about 15 minutes, and I'll show you why. And it may be nothing, it may be everything, but this is a really cool cheesecake. Hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so we're down here. Like I said, I just pulled this bad boy out of the oven, and since I pulled it out of the oven, it's dropped in size dramatically. But here is our finished product, and if you see how you wiggle, it's, well, I mean, it's pretty much set now. But it had very little jiggle in the center, none on the top, which is what we wanted. Light and brown, golden brown on top, and very little jiggle in the center, and that's what we have. So what had happened was, like I said, this thing was probably about this tall when it came out of the oven. Very similar to the Japanese style cheesecake that we made a while back. And since it has started cooling, it has started to drop. And what was concerning me, if nothing else, was the fact, if you notice right here in the center, it had actually dipped a little. Like it wasn't wanting to play with the rest of the cheesecake. Not horrible. I mean, there's still like a little bit of dip there, but you saw the cracks in the cheesecake. That's what that was from. Now, I am noticing as it goes down, as it cools, the cracks are coming together. But like I said, we're going to cover this with 2 other things, so it's not like you're ever going to see those cracks. So what are we going to do now? Well, our next step is to let it cool down to room temperature, which is going to take about an hour. Then after that, we're going to put it in the fridge for about 4 to 6 hours, or overnight, to let it completely cool down. Then we can do the last 3 steps to get this cheesecake together. Not a hard cheesecake to make, just a lot of hurry up and wait. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cooled down, get it in the fridge, and when I come back, we can move on to the next things we got to do. All right, next orders of operation. So I'll see you here in just one moment. Okay, so we let the cheesecake chill for, oh, it's been every bit of 8 hours. It's still the same day though. We put that in the fridge. It's probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a little bit before midnight now, and I'm still awake. It's been a crazy day. I've been doing patio work and awning work for a patio, but we're getting there. And so now let's get back down to the counter, and we're going to go on to the next step. Now the first thing we did was turn on our oven, 475 degrees. Now let's get down here to the counter and okay. Sorry, I need something to drink. I don't know why, but I am just parched. So here is our cheesecake right there, and it has been refrigerated for about 6, 7, 8 hours. And as you can see, it's pulled away from the sides, which is kind of good. And I ran a offset spatula around there just in case. So the next thing we need to do is I did not take the time to make my own apple pie filling. Instead, I went to the store and bought some. And it's just one can of apple pie filling, which is what they recommended in the one recipe that did it this way, was to get a can of pie filling and put it on the top. And we'll take it up close to the edge, but not all the way too, because then we're going to put a crust on top of this. So we're going to do a lattice crust on top of this. I was going to do like I do my apple pies normally, which is to just put a blanket crust over the top of it with a few vent holes. And I thought, no, let's try the lattice. That looks interesting and it looks nice. So we're going to do the lattice for this one. Okay, we got our pie filling on there. And that took pretty much the whole can. So the next thing we're going to do is right here I've got a pie crust. I made this pie crust, but like I said previously, you can buy a store-bought one. There's no shame in that. I just prefer my own. So, and I got it cut into 12 strips, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay these down on top. Now I don't know if you've ever done any lattice work before, I mean as far as pies go, but I have found it so much easier to A, make sure your dough is really cold, B, make sure whatever pie you're putting it on is really cold. It just makes all the difference in the world. So we're going to go, I got 12 pieces, and I'm going to put 6 one direction, 6 the other direction. And you want to work quickly, because if not, your lattice can warm up, your dough can warm up, and you can run into some serious technical difficulties if you're not careful, so to speak. There we go. That last one on there like that. And then in order to, here's how I do my lattice. I will lift and weave and only go halfway across. That way I can come in from the other half and do the other side, because if you're not careful you could break your lattice. I mean, once you get some practice in on it, it's not horrible. Okay, so we got our lattice on here, and all I did was, after we laid it across, 6 one way, 6 the other, and if you don't feel comfortable weaving it like that, you can lay it right on top of each other, and I guarantee it, nobody's going to notice. I've done that a couple times, and nobody paid attention to it. They were just like, oh, pie. So the last thing I want to do is take a little bit of sugar, and I'm just going to sprinkle this over the top. And that'll give that crust a little extra pop. When we go to bake it, which is coming up. The oven just went off while I was busy doing the lattice. More sugar there. Put that on there. Now I'll be curious, because we're basically making a twice baked cheesecake. And I don't know how I feel about that. And Chris brought it to my attention that the cheesecake seemed a little dark on the top when we pulled it out of the oven, right? And that's possible. You know, I look more golden brown, but I think she's not completely wrong with that. All right, so what are we gonna do now? So now we are going to quit fussing with the camera because I'm not really that good at it. I should fire my cameraman, but he's me. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the oven, just like it is. And man, I'm here to tell you what, this cheesecake weighs 800 pounds. And we got, like I said, we got our oven at 425. We're gonna put it in the oven and we're gonna bake this bad boy for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna check on it here in 15 minutes. And because all we're looking to do is get the, what am I doing? Ugh. So anyhow, I'm gonna put it in here for 20 minutes. I'm gonna check it in 15 minutes because all I'm looking to do is to brown the crust, right? The cheesecake itself is done. The pie filling is done. So all we have to do is get the crust a nice golden brown or something close to that. But we want to bake the crust. But like I said, hey, the fact we're baking the cheesecake twice, I would worry about the moisture content. But my only rebuttal to this in my head is that we just put pie filling on top of it, which is moisture, and the dough, which has moisture in it also. So we'll see. But anyhow, when I come back, we will take a look at it. All right, see you in a second. Okay, we just pulled her out of the oven. I know from the top view, it looks absolutely incredible. Let me get you in here so you can get a little better look at it, I guess. There's that. I let it go for the full 25 minutes. I still think it looks a little light, but I didn't want to run the risk of completely drying out the cheesecake. So I went ahead and pulled it out. Now, it'll continue to bake as it sits here, obviously, because it doesn't just stop being hot because it came out. So now we have to wash, rinse, repeat. We're going to let this sit and cool back down to room temperature, which shouldn't take long, maybe a half hour at tops. And then we'll put it saran wrap back over it and go ahead and stick it back in the fridge till morning. Only because it's 12:30 now at night. And I am tired and ready to go to bed. It's been a busy, busy day. So that being said, when I come back, we will pull it out of the fridge, get it off this springform pan, and cut it open and see what we got. All right, I'll see you here in just a second. Okay, gang. So we let our creation sit overnight. I feel much better than I did last night when I came in, but here we are. This is our cheesecake. So one thing I see off the bat is I probably could have left this in a little longer, just to give it a more even color between the top and the bottom. But like I said, I believe a minute ago or last night, as the case may be, I was scared that I could see the darkness in the cheesecake here, and I was afraid that our cheesecake would dry out. So, but anyhow, that being said, I still think it looks amazing, and I still think this is going to be worthy of our time. So let's go ahead and get us a piece cut and see if we did the right thing. I'll tell you, this one dense, thick cheesecake. And like I've said before, you want to make sure that when you go to serve your cheesecake, you want to make sure you let it sit out, so that way you can cut through the bottom of it. If not, you could have, you know, an interesting moment. Make sure I got that all the way through in the center there. It doesn't cut bad. This has been sitting out for about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. That way the crust, because remember, your crust, no matter what you make it out of, it involves butter. Well, with butter, you put it in the fridge, it turns back to butter and gets hard, it gets solid. So you want to make sure that you let it sit out so that butter softens, just like you put butter out for, you know, to soften for baking. So, go ahead and try and slide this piece out of here. For those of you, this is my first video, you will find that I am not a very good first piece person. I don't always do very well with cutting out that first piece, like now. Get that tip out of there. I left the tip behind.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Thank you, Siri or Alexa. Alright, there we go. All in all, it does not look shabby. Here, I'll show you the inside, and you got that layer of the crisp, the crumble topping. You've got your cheesecake, you've got your apple pie on the top. It does look, it looks fantastic at any rate. So we'll see how we did on the other side, right? All right, let's let me bring you up here so we can I can see you to talk to you. Nothing worse than not looking a person in the eyes when you're wanting to talk to them, right? There we are. There we are. There you are. The movie Hook with Robin Williams. It's one of my favorite lines ever when Robin Williams, Peter Pan, remembers that he is Peter Pan, and the little boy goes, "There you are. There you are." I think that's beautiful. But anyhow, I digress. Let's give this pretty piece of work a taste. We put a lot of love and labor into this. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh my. Okay. That is one busy cheesecake that tastes just amazing. Oh, I could eat this whole cheesecake. That is to die for. Holy cow. That is awesome. I don't even know how to explain it. If you like apple pie and you like cheesecake, bam, that's it. I have to take a moment to breathe. I was worried that this just wouldn't be quite worth all the labor that we put into it, because it was a fair amount. It was a whole lot of hurry up and wait at any rate. Yeah, between the hour and 5 minutes of baking, the letting it cool completely just like a normal cheesecake, and then we had to quickly add the additional layers, rebake it, recool it, so we were it's like a twice baked cheesecake that happened to taste like an apple pie. But I am here to tell you that is stunning, just stunning. It all blends so nicely. I mean, you can taste a little bit of the graham cracker, you can taste the vanilla in the cheesecake, that, you know, representative of the vanilla ice cream that you would have with an apple pie. That crumb coating is perfect in the center. It's not overbearing. You know, the only thing I think I would even remotely do different, and this is just because it's me, is next time, and hopefully the next time I make this, we've gone to the orchard, I would use my own apple pie filling. That just didn't quite have enough spices in it for my liking. But that's it. That's a side note. It did its job, hands down. And I was worried because I thought the outside was a little dark, and it was fine. it turned out just fine. Everything worked out great with this cheesecake. I would definitely recommend this. And like I said, the only thing I might do different, well, I will do different, is use my own pie filling. We can our own pie filling. I even think there's a video on it at some point, but I am going to start redoing some of my older videos that didn't fare so well. Not only by view, but just by quality of video. Not that my videos are amazingly good now, but I think I've come a long way in 2 years. And, you know, there's some things that need to be redone. But anyhow, give this a try. This would be great for a gathering, a party, a reunion, a family gathering, a fall party. You know, pick a subject. And if you do try this, let me know. If you do something a little different, let me know. And because I would love to know. I love when you guys comment. I love to respond to the comments. I love the conversation and the interaction. I think that's awesome. I'd like to think you guys like to comment and have the interaction also. You know, a quick conversation is way better than just you know, I liked your post and, you know, a heart. But that being said, let me know if you do, whether it be here or, you know, on Facebook. Either way. So next week, I have no idea what we're going to do for dinner. I have no idea what we're going to do for dessert. But I guarantee it'll be an adventure, and it's going to be something that's probably going to taste amazing. We won't know until we make it, right? But until then, I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and that you love them very much. They may need to hear that, and if nothing else, it's going to put a smile on their face and make their day. And it's going to make you feel so good to tell them that and see that smile, right? And if you make one of these apple pie cheesecakes to share, they are going to just be awestruck, and it's going to lead to hours of good conversation, maybe even a fun evening with some dinner. All right? So until next week for dinner, I love you. I'll see you then. All right? Talk to you later. Bye.